Hello everybody, welcome back to our HTML and CSS tutorial. In the previous episode, we have discussed how to insert image into a website, and in this episode, we are going to learn about classes and IDs. And the thing about classes and IDs is that they are very important attributes in HTML. We can use them to group our content, we can also use them to make our items unique, and also we can use them to target our HTML content in our styling to make it very easy for us. And from now on, we are going to be using them quite a lot in this course. So it's good we learn them now. Alright, let me start showing you how you can use classes and IDs in your code. First of all, let's start by creating a div like this. And let's give this div a class. And let's call this class a container like this. A container. And let's come down and let's create a header for our div like this. Let's give it a h1, and let's also just give h1 a class like this, and let's call this class title like this. Let's add some text to our h1. Let's say welcome to my website like this. And let's come down and create a paragraph like this, and let's give this paragraph an ID, and let's call this ID first paragraph like this. Let's add some text to our paragraph. Let's say this is, or let's say this website is all about showcasing the latest trend in web, or let's say web development like this. And let's come down and create another paragraph like this, and let's give this paragraph an ID like this, and let's call the ID second paragraph like this. And let's also give it some text. Let's see, this is another awesome like this, awesome paragraph like this. And let's come down and let's create a button like this, just to make sure we have different text example so that you guys can understand what I mean. Let's create a button like this, and let's give this button a class instead of an ID like this, a class. And let's call this button as, let's say, primary btn as in button. Let's give it some text. Let's say learn more like this. And let's create another button like this. And let's also give this button a class also like this. Let's call the class secondary btn like this. And let's give it a text, and let's say get started like this. And let's save what we did right here, and let me show you what our website looks like inside our browser. If we are to refresh, you will see everything we added inside our website. Now let's go and style everything we did here in our CSS like this. And I think let's split our editor so that we can be able to see both our styling and HTML together. And remember, to split your editor, you need to press Ctrl Shift P like this, and then you will type in split like this, and your editor is going to split. Since we are going to add our CSS in this place, let's drag it to the other side like this, and let's remove this one, and let's shift like this so that we can be able to see more of our HTML like this. Alright, let's start the styling. But I want you to know that in today's episode, I'm going to do a lot of styling just to make sure that I provide enough detail for you to understand what classes and IDs are all about. So don't get panicked, but today we are going to write a lot of CSS. Let's start by styling the container. This container, let's start by styling this container that we have created, because all our HTML content right here are all under our div container, this container. So let's start by styling it, and let's target the container. Let's target the class of this container. And to target a class in CSS, you only need to put a dot like this full stop like this that I put, and let's add the container name like this, and let's go on with the styling, and let's give the container a width of, let's say, 50% like this, and let's also give it a height, and for the height let's give it a 200 pixel height. And just know that you can both use percent and pixel while styling one theme all at the same time. Let's go and continue, and for the display, let's give it a block display like this, and let's give it a margin left. Let's give it an auto margin left so that we should align the container in the middle of our browser. And let's also give it a margin right like this, margin right. Let's also give it an auto. Now our container will be in the middle. And for the background color, so that you can be able to see the container we have created, let's go and give it a background color like this. Let's give it a let's see, F1 like this. It will be a little gray, not pure white, you will see. And for the border, let's give it a border radius like this, so that it will curve instead of it to be in square. But first, let me show you what a border radius is. Let's assume to save it without putting the border radius, and go back into our browser like this and refresh. As you can see, our content is now in the middle of our browser, but the edge of our border is very sharp like this. It's not curved. If you want to make it curved, let's go back into our code and add a border radius. Let's give it a border radius of, let's say, 3 pixel like this, and let's save it. Let's go back into our browser and refresh. If you will realize, there is no more the sharpness that is here, and there is a curve. Let me give it a very big border radius so that you will understand what I mean. Let's say instead of 3, let's make the border radius to 6 pixel like this, and let's save it. Go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see, it's obvious now. You can see it's no more longer sharp, it's curved like this. The border, the edge of the container here, right here. Let's go back into our text editor and continue the styling, and let me shift it a little so that you can be able to see what I'm doing like this. And let's say for the title, this title right here, and since it's also have a class, we can also target it with a full stop like this and paste the title like this. And let's go on and continue. For the text align, let's make sure the text is in the center like this. And let me save it and show you what this text align mean. Let's go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see, this text has now shifted to the center of our browser. And let's go back, and for the font size, like this, let's give it a 50 pixel like this. For the color of our text, let's give it a blue color like this, blue. Let's save it, but first let's give it a font family before we save it and go and run it into our browser. For the font family, like this, let's give it a sans serif like this. And let's go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see, it has changed. And let's go and style these two paragraphs first before our buttons. And for the paragraph, this paragraph, since it has an ID, we will use a hashtag. To target an ID in our CSS, we use a hashtag like this. And let's write the name of the ID, first paragraph, and let's open up a curly bracket like this. And let's start by text aligning the content, the text in the middle of our container. Let's make sure the text align is in the center. And let's go with a font size like this. For the font size, let's give it a 20 pixel font size like this. And let's go with a font family. For the font family, let's give it a sans serif font family also like this. And for the color of our text, if you want, you can use a color picker. And to use a color picker, let me show you how you can use a color picker. You just put your cursor on top of the color like this. The text editor will support a color picker. You can just go on like this and choose any color you like. Let's go with some bluish color like this. Let's see, our text should be like this. And for the second paragraph, this one, let's copy it like this. And you know, it also has an ID, so we are going to target it with a hashtag like this. And let's just go on and copy everything that we did here with Ctrl C, and let's paste it like this with Ctrl V. And let's change the color of this paragraph to make it look different from our first paragraph. And let's make the color a little darker like this. Alright, let's save it and let's go back into our browser and run it to see how it looks like. And if we are to refresh, you will see the difference. This is a little lighter than this one. Alright, let's go back into our text editor and continue editing our code. I told you today we are going to use a lot of CSS in our code. Alright, let's style this button right here. Let me scroll a little so that you can be able to see it. This button right here. And since the button has a class, you know, we are going to target our class with a full stop like this. And with the name of our class, let's open up a curly bracket like this. And for the button, let's give it a display. Since we have two buttons, for the display like this, let's give it an inline block display, this one like this. And for the padding like this, let's give it a 10 pixel, and let's also give it 20 pixel. And what I did right here is that the 10 pixel padding is added to the top and bottom of this button, and the 20 pixel is added to the left and right side of this button. That is why we have two values in one padding. That's what it means. And for the background color, let's give it a background color like this. Background color, let's give it a background color of, let's go with something like this, or let me just copy some color like this, and let's use it right here like this. Let's give it this background color. It's a bluish background color like this. And for the color of the button like this, let's give it a color of some simple color like this. And for the font size of the button, let's give it a 16 pixel font size like this. Font size, let's give it a 16 pixel, sorry. And for the border of the button like this, let's make it none so that it does not have any border like this. And for the border radius, the curve of the button, that's what border radius is for. Let's give it a 4 pixel border radius since it's small. And for the cursor of the button, let's make it a pointer like this. And for the text decoration of the button, let's remove the text decoration to none like this. And for the transition of the button, transition like this, let's make the background color to be 0.30 second like this. Let's make it an ease. Alright, and for the hover of the button, when we hover around it, but first let me show you what it looks like like this. We just need to close it like this, and let's save it, go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see, this is how the button looks like. And I wanted to change color. If you will recognize, if I hover around this one, over this one, it will become a little darker. And if I hover on this one, nothing will happen. And let's go back and make it, when we hover on it, just like this one, it will just become a little darker, like the way this one used to do. Let's go back and let's add a hover for the button like this. Since we're targeting the button, all the buttons, that is why I'm using the button keyword. Button like this, and let's add a hover like this, and opening curly bracket. And for the background color, let's make it something like this. Let me copy the color and let's paste it here. We just need to add a hashtag like this, and let's save it. Let me go and show you how it looks right now. If we are to refresh, and when you hover around it, as you can see, the color changes with an ease of 0.3 seconds like this when we hover around it. Let's go and install this button as well. Let's go back and let's just go on and target it like this. Since it also has a class, we will target it with a full stop like this, and write the name and open a curly bracket like this, and let's just go and copy everything we did here. Just to make it easy, let's copy everything with Ctrl C, and let's paste it right here, and let's save it. Go back into our text editor, we'll go back into our browser, sorry, and refresh. As you can see, they all have a styling right now. But something is wrong. If you realize, the size of our container is not covering everything right here. Let's just go and add the size. Instead of leaving it in 200 pixel, maybe we should add the height to 300 pixel like this, and let's save it. Let's go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see now, the height of our container has increased. And let's go back into our text editor and align our buttons in the center, just like our text. And to do that, let's go back into our text editor, and to do that, we need to group these two buttons since we are styling them to make it easier for us. This is something that you should really see. You can have a div inside a div. For example, let me just close this one so that you can be able to see everything clearly. And let's come back. Since we are grouping these two buttons, that is one of the uses of class like this. Let's create another div like this, and let's cut the closing tag of this div like this, and let's paste it right here like this, and let's give a class to this div like this, and let's call this class btn container like this, and let's save it. But first, let's copy this one with Ctrl C, and let's go on and open up our style sheet, and let's style it. Let's go to the button like this, and since it's a class, we'll target it with a full stop like this, and open up a curly bracket, and we are going to make these two buttons align in the middle, just like our text are in the middle of this container. That is why we are grouping them inside one div. And to do that, let's go and give our container, the container that contains our buttons, let's give it a width of, let's say, 40 point. And remember, let me tell you one thing. You can add a point like this, as in 0.5%. You can add points to your width. That is, when you are dealing with the size of something, you can add the size with points, just like I did right here. You can make it 41, 42 without points, but if you like, you can also make it 40.5, just like I did right here. And let's leave it 40.5. And for the height, let's give it a height of, let's say, 40 pixel like this. And let's just go and give it a display. For the display, let's give it a block display. And for the margin left, let's give it an auto. For the margin right also, margin right, let's also give it an auto. And for the background color, let me just copy a background color like this. I just need to add the hashtag. Alright, Let's save it and let's go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see, they are in the middle, but the size of the container is very little. That is why they are aligning like this. Let's just increase the size and make it, let's say, a 41% like this, and let's save it and go back into our browser and refresh. As you can see now, they are aligning perfectly. I know this is a very long episode and it may be a little confusing for some of you because I added a lot of CSS styling, but I think this is the best way to explain how to use classes and IDs for you. Instead of you to keep targeting HTML tags with their name, it will be better if you will learn how to use classes and IDs to target them, because sometimes you will be having more than one tag, just like we did with our paragraph tag right here. As you can see, we use more than one paragraph in this code, and we have targeted them with different classes name instead of using the paragraph tag, because if we target them with the paragraph tag, we won't be having the flexibility to give them different colors as we did here. Using classes and IDs is a very important habit, but if you have to watch this episode twice, then you should do so, because it is very important for you guys to know how to use classes and IDs. This will be the end of today's lesson, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you are new to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so that you won't miss out the next episode.